And we are live on Disorder in the Court. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Yes, it's been a few weeks since we've been here, but we are back to commence live coverage of the Rust movie shooting trial. Hello, Rachel Lee. Um, this one specifically about Alec Baldwin, the actor Alec Baldwin. So, what we're going to do in this stream is, I know there are a lot of other, hello, Stacy, nice to see you. And Johnny, if you're hearing this, enjoy your Harry Potter. You can always come back to the replay. We aren't on the actual trial yet. The trial will be held at a better time for you. So anyway, it's good to see you all. I've missed you. I've missed you very much. So here's what we're going to do. So there's a lot of channels that are doing, kind of trial preparation about this trial, that are much more focused on the legal issues. Hello, Marie. Nice to see you. They're focused on the legal issues, and we'll talk about that. But also, what I want to bring to this discussion is all the personalities, the big, huge egos and personalities, and everything that's gone into, into this case so far. And very specifically, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin is a very, very, very big personality. And it's quite the juxtaposition to see him sitting in a courtroom where he's going to be, he's going to have to mind his P's and Q's and be subject to the rules of a court. But another part, hello, Sparkles. Another part of the big personalities here are his lawyers. All the lawyers, but his lawyers in particular are big personalities in and of themselves. This is Luke Nickus, and I'll pull up this guy's name in a minute. I'm forgetting it off the top of my head, but I'll tell you in a moment as we get into it. But his lawyers are incredibly accomplished, very high priced. And what we see here playing out after an extremely long, very contentious hearing yesterday is that this case is going to be all about the lawyering and about how there is very certainly a two-tiered system of justice in this country. Because if none of you saw the extremely long hearing that took, hey, Evil Queen, nice to see you. If none of you heard the extremely long or saw the extremely long hearing that took place yesterday, it's a very yes, Rachel, there is a new lawyer assisting who kind of looks like the judge, a younger, slightly more feminine and pretty version of the judge. But anyway, so yesterday was a very long hearing, and it's very normal for there to be pre-trial hearings, especially, the day before trial is to commence and when they're about to go into jury selection. But yesterday's hearing was loaded down with motion after motion after motion. And all of these motions were to either eliminate entire parts of the case or to eliminate little parts of the case. And in fact, the defense, Alec Baldwin's side, oh, Stacy, Well, I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're here to for you to have a place to chat. So, the defense won some major victories yesterday. And one of the reasons they're able to do that is because they're extremely experienced, very well qualified, incredibly well educated lawyers. Both of his lawyers are Harvard educated, okay? But also he has the money to spend. The man is worth, I looked this up yesterday. Alec Baldwin's net worth is $70 million, okay? And I'm not saying he's not, he doesn't deserve to have that money. He's worked extremely hard all his life. He has well earned that money. He has residuals from 30 Rock from the Sun. He's done many, many, many movies. And this movie, Rust, was a pet, kind of a passion project for him, something that he'd been wanting to be in do for a long time. But he's worth $70 million. He has the money to spend on this defense. And he is getting a very good and very rigorous defense. And that's probably one of the reasons why the prosecution, as Rachel Lee is saying here, has brought in some assistance. And so one of the major things that that the defense was able to get taken off the table yesterday, and it was a major victory for them, is that Alec Baldwin being a producer is off the table. Meaning he, as a producer, they can't bring in as part of the prosecution that he was a producer and therefore responsible for the safety on the set. That's a major victory, because that's one of the ways that people have been looking at this is, hey, he's not only a high profile actor, he's also a producer, and producers have management responsibility in these movies. But the defense's argument is that the producer title is just it's something that's granted to him. It's not really a functional name. It's something that is given to him as a big name, and it's something that's done very frequently for actors or A-list celebrities in movies to bring more financial backing and to give them more back end remuneration. So that part cannot be brought in. Hey, Adrian, nice to see you. Also, everyone, please remember to hit the thumbs up. It's a way to get me into the algorithm, because YouTube's going to make sure I don't. Anyway, so that was a big victory for them, and I would argue that one of the reasons that the defense got that victory is because of the lawyering and the way the lawyers were able to out argue the prosecution. Okay. Now, the defense also lost a number of motions. They actually lost, always very helpful with the reminders, Adrian. Thank you very much. They lost a number of motions yesterday. In fact, the defense lost a majority of the motions. But that goes to show that they are able to bring, just to help you understand, for every single motion that the defense writes or the defense brings before the trial, that costs money. It costs, I would say anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000 per motion. Okay. It means, yep, it is real, right, Stacy? It's It's so real, it's scary. Anyway, so when you have the money to be able to slap down something like 10 different motions, and then you have the money to spend for those lawyers to sit there and argue pre-trial for those motions, you have a much, much, much better chance of winning. And that's what I mean by this kind of two-tier system of justice. Because if Alec Baldwin was destitute and didn't have the money, let's say he was bankrupt and destitute and didn't have, that $70 million of net worth, I guarantee you there would not have been an 8 to 10 hour pretrial hearing yesterday where they were arguing motion after motion after motion. They would have only been able to invest in 2 or 3 or 4 different motions before the trial. And in fact, that's what you usually see before these trials, is just, 1 or 2 or 3 major motions. And most of the time it's a motion to dismiss. And that is what they attempted to do yesterday as well. At the end of the hearing, it got extremely contentious because the defense got up and said that the prosecution has failed to turn over evidence, and the defense has, on many occasions, accused the prosecution of prosecutorial misconduct. Hello and goodbye. Enjoy your Harry Potter, Johnny. So the defense is being very aggressive. And also, another thing to note with the defense and Alec Baldwin's ability to pay the high legal fees. Now you understand motions. Good. He also has something like 4, I think he has 4 lawyers sitting at his jury, at his table. He has a lead attorney and then 3 support attorneys. And one of the attorneys is also currently Elon Musk's attorney. Okay. I mean, it goes to show you, these are people who are operating at the top of their game. But also on the prosecution side, the prosecution is coming off of a big win with the Hannah Gutierrez case. So, Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer, her verdict was guilty on involuntary manslaughter. And she is now serving an 18-month prison sentence. Now, if I'm going to get into what happened and, show you some video of the aftermath and things like that. But I'm just going to tell you up front right now, I believe the jury is going to vote guilty. And I'm going to tell you why I believe the jury is going to vote guilty. And I'll tell you why as we go. But I do believe that the jury is going to vote guilty. However, I do believe that Alec Baldwin is getting the best possible defense. Now, some of you in chat remember a few months ago, or maybe a month ago, when I did a stream called Dick Not a Dick. And I told you about, I was talking about celebrities that I've had, that I've met in various circumstances. Most of the time they were just brushes with fame. I was in the same room with them in close circumstances. I might have had some sort of interaction with them because I was presenting them with a product that they get to take home and test, right? Well, Alec Baldwin was one of those people. I did meet Alec Baldwin in one of those in one of those circumstances. And when we get further into the stream, I'm going to tell you what I thought of him. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more after I tell you about the circumstances in this case. Now, can you guys tell me, just, I don't need to do any major polls. There's not many people here, but just tell me in the chat, how much do you know about this case, this particular case, at least the Alec Baldwin piece of it. And also let me know in the chat, did you watch when I was streaming the Hannah Gutierrez trial? Because I'm trying to understand. Okay, Sparkles watched the whole other trial. So Sparkles, okay, Stacy knows lots. Sparkles was there watching along while we were like, what is with this girl's attitude? She's acting like she's being burdened by the fact that she's being called to account for allowing live rounds of bullets to be put in the gun, that she was responsible for making sure live rounds don't get into the gun. I mean, come on. It was really as simple as that. It was an interesting trial. It was kind of precedent setting. Yep. Mark Cooper, welcome. Quite a bit. No, he was careless. And that's part of what I'm going to show here, is that unlikable is a good word for it. The old gun expert was fun. Yes, he was fun, Stacy. That poor guy. Oh my gosh, that poor guy on the stand. It was kind of painful to get through, but yeah. Anyway. So let's get into just what happened and what's at stake here. Yeah. So the date was October 21st, 2021. This was at the Bonanza Creek Ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it was around 1:50 p.m. And what was happening was they started late that day. They started filming late. They were toward the end of their shooting of this movie. And the reason they started late is because the day before, yes, she was Terry Bass, very immature. The day before this particular day, on October 20th, a sizable portion of the crew walked out, stating unsafe work conditions. And another thing that we didn't really know until getting up closer to Hannah's trial and during Hannah's trial was that prior to this day, there had been 2 different gun misfires on the set. Okay. 2 different misfires. And there were already rumors and all kinds of things swirling around about how there was a lack of safety on the set. So their regular crew the day before this day had walked off. And so they had to start later this day. So this occurrence happened. It was after lunch. And they were getting ready. They were getting ready to do their shot. So the camera was not rolling. Alec Baldwin was sitting in a pew in the church, and the shot was for him to pull the gun out of his coat, out of his jacket, and fire it real quickly, and basically resulting in this shot. Okay. So now I'm a little bit confused because I just said that the cameras weren't rolling, and I remember hearing them saying that the cameras weren't rolling. But if the cameras weren't rolling, how did they get this shot? Maybe the cameras were rolling, either that or there was a photographer on set. I know from past experience working with the industry that they do frequently have a photographer on set who's taking promotional shots, throughout the entire shoot. So that might have been what this was. Or maybe there was somebody there just taking shots just to help prepare. But anyway, so as he goes to take out his, prepare for this shot, the gun comes out, the gun goes off. He hits Helena Hutchins. There's Helena Hutchins. She immediately gets hit. She stumbles back and doubles over and falls down. And then the bullet apparently goes straight through her and into the shoulder of Joel Souza. So 2 people. And then immediately after that happened, it was absolute chaos and mayhem on the set. They didn't know what the hell to do. And I'm going to show you now body cam from when they showed up. And my understanding is that, the police, they really didn't show up for several more minutes. And first responders, several more minutes, because this Bonanza Creek is in a kind of a remote area. It's outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's not right in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's just outside of it. But it's a remote area. It's not like there's first responders just standing by waiting for a call all the time. So it took a little bit of time to get there. But yes, the medical team that was there in the immediate aftermath kept making mistakes. And Helena Hutchins died. I forget what the insagubriation, it's basically the technical term for bleeding out. She bled to death. That was how she died. And so part of that was, part of the whole issue was, did they even respond in the right way in the immediate aftermath? But here I'm going to show you when the first responders show up and what it looked like.
Look at the chaos on the set of Rust as paramedics frantically but unsuccessfully try to save cinematographer Helena Hutchins' life. While laying next to her in agony, director Joel Souza is treated for his gunshot wound. The stunning and somber body camera footage reveals the life and death struggle that unfolded after Alec Baldwin fired the deadly shot.
Are you doing okay? No, I'm not, actually. Okay.
The actor and producer speaking to investigators for the first time.
I was holding the gun, yeah. I'm happy to stay right here and do everything I need.
After a despondent Baldwin recounts some of the shooting.
As of right now, her status is questionable.
Crime scene technicians photographed his clothing, documenting evidence while also obtaining this video. It shows Baldwin during rehearsal pulling his revolver moments before deputies say he fired the fatal shot. Afterwards, assistant director Dave Hall's with Baldwin trying to figure out how a live round got into the gun. Hours later, Baldwin and the crew were questioned at length by investigators. The trove of evidence includes a series of emails from crew members raising serious safety concerns before the shooting. There's also messages from Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the movie's armorer, to supplier Seth Kenny, in which she asked for live ammunition for a different film months earlier, which is never allowed on set. Kenny replies to the ask, "It's a serious mistake, always ends in tears."
You think? Hey, Music City Mom, nice to see you. You think it always ends in tears? Well, obviously, this has ended in a lot of tears for a lot of people. So there's 2 different issues. The cases against Hannah Gutierrez and against Alec Baldwin are 2 completely different things. The case against Hannah Gutierrez, Yes, it was involuntary manslaughter, but in her case, it was because she carelessly allowed, as the armorer who was responsible for gun safety on the set, as the armorer, she allowed live rounds to get onto the set, which ended up in the gun that she loaded and was handed to Alec Baldwin. She has been named, she has been declared guilty in that scenario and is now serving her time. There are currently jail calls that have surfaced of her. You know, she has filed for an appeal, and she still is not showing any accountability in her jail calls. No accountability, still trying to find ways around taking responsibility. The girl is just serving 18 months. She should just suck it up, serve her time, learn her lesson, and find a new career that does not involve handing guns to people if she's going to be that careless. Okay. But that's Hannah Gutierrez. The situation with Alec Baldwin is different. Okay. He's the actor, and producer now is off the table. So we can't go on and on about how he's a producer and he's supposed to be also responsible for safety on the set. That is now taken off the table by the court. He's an actor, and he has said that he did not pull the trigger. Okay. And so initially, after this happened, there were a few people charged. The people who were charged were Hannah Gutierrez, obviously, and David Halls. He's the one who handed the gun to Alec Baldwin. And then Alec Baldwin has been charged, obviously, right? So Hannah Gutierrez, Dave Halls, and Alec Baldwin, they're the ones who were charged in the aftermath of this. Dave Halls took a guilty plea. He pled guilty to negligent. I don't know the exact wording of what he pled guilty to, but he was his sentence was basically, let out on his own recognizance, probation type of thing. Very light sentence. And honestly, I feel like that's what Alec Baldwin should have done and what Hannah Gutierrez should have done. But they also filed charges on Hannah Gutierrez and Alec Baldwin. Well, then they dropped the charge on Alec Baldwin, and it was after he said that he didn't pull the trigger. But then analysis came out from the FBI saying that they tested the gun that he's holding in his hand right there, and it would have been impossible. It's the very same judge, Terry Bass, very same judge. So the FBI came out and said it would have been impossible for that gun to go off without the trigger being pulled. So Alec's contention is that he pulled it out. He pulled the hammer back on the gun to cock the gun, but he never pulled the trigger. And the FBI is saying, sorry, but that's not possible. So that's what's at issue here. That's going to be the major fact issue in this case, is could he have pulled the trigger? Is it possible for that gun to go off without pulling the trigger? There's another issue surrounding that fact. When the FBI or whoever did the testing for the FBI tested that gun, they broke the gun. They broke the gun, so it can't be used in the trial. The evidence has been destroyed. So, guns definitely malfunction. But what according to the FBI and according to this analysis, this particular gun would never have gone off without the trigger being pulled. And it's not just you lightly tap, your hand on the trigger. He also, there's another major thing that Alec Baldwin asserts that doesn't seem to be true. Okay. He keeps asserting that his finger was outside of the trigger guard. But right there, you see on that picture that it's clearly inside the trigger guard. So he is speaking on, out of two sides of his mouth, in my opinion. And one of the big mistakes that he made was giving an interview to George Stephanopoulos on ABC, where he states just unequivocally, I never pulled the trigger. I never pulled the trigger. I never even touched the trigger. But in the police interview right afterward, he says he was the one who fired the gun. Now, is that semantics? Can you say I fired the gun, but I didn't pull the trigger? Are those the same thing? I did a video on my other channel right after he did that interview, just calling out how bad that interview was. Now, I will say, and I want to say very clearly right here, clearly, Alec Baldwin did not mean for this to happen. And he is completely distraught. He is obviously extremely distraught for what happened. He gets extremely emotional when talking about it. However, my feeling is that he is much more distraught for himself and the consequences that are being brought onto him as a result of this than what happened to the families and the victims in this case. So Helena Hutchins, the ultimate victim in this case, her family did bring a wrongful death suit against Alec Baldwin and the Rust production company, and that was settled out of court. So Alec is obviously getting these things off the table before the actual trial starts. And I'm sure that there are all kinds of clauses in that settlement agreement that say he is not admitting to wrongdoing. He's just settling this to take the issue off the table and, send and bring peace to everybody. Whatever wording they want to use. So, but what is going to be very, very interesting in this trial is whether it's determined that his finger was on the trigger. Did he pull the trigger? Can the prosecution prove through expert testimony, through other evidence that he negligently handled that gun? I don't think that's going to be it. It's going to be very contentious. It's going to be very hard fought, but I think they're going to be able to prove that. However, one of the things, and I touched on earlier, is that somehow they destroyed the gun that would be brought into court as evidence to demonstrate all of this. And that does help us understand why in the Hannah Gutierrez trial, when they were demonstrating on a gun, that it was a replica and not the exact gun, because I remember that. So that's what's at issue with this case. Now, today they are in jury selection. I've been checking very close. They're in jury selection as we speak. But this judge runs a very, very tight ship. And she has said that they're going to start opening statements tomorrow. So I will be ready to, yep, that's right. They did, Stacy. So I'll be ready to start streaming tomorrow, but I will be surprised. I will honestly be surprised if they are able to select a jury in one day. That means they've been able to select a jury in one day. And they were going to be going through a panel today of 79 initial, an initial panel of 79 people. All right. So they called in 79 potential jurors today, and they're saying that they're going to be able to go through that entire panel of 79 and pick out, the 12 plus the alternates. I'm pretty sure they're saying that they're going to have 12 plus 4 alternates, but don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. The judge also says that she expects this to be just a 8-day trial. And that surprises me as well. But I do remember from the Russ shooting trial from Hannah Gutierrez that she runs. Yeah. Don't like Alec Baldwin. Yeah, for sure. They don't. He's an unlikable guy, and we're going to get into that in a minute here. She runs a very tight ship, and she runs her court on time. That one of the things I really liked about covering that trial is that she started in the morning on time. She did her breaks like clockwork, and she runs a tight ship. It's almost like she's more concerned about the dynamics of running the trains on time than other things. But she's been a judge for quite some time. So let's get into some of the personalities at stake here that we have going in here. We're going to deal with the Alec Baldwin personality at length later, but first let's talk a little bit about obviously Helena Hutchins is the victim, and she was Ukrainian born. She immigrated here, and she was really just kind of starting to make a name in the business. And she was originally a journalist. So it's a huge loss. She was married and had 2 children, and they were obviously devastated. But Luke Nikas is is Alec's main lawyer, his lead attorney. Let me show him to you again. Luke Nikas. And I want to read to you some interesting information about him here. One moment. Law.com described Nikas as a rising star due to his background as a leading commercial litigator with extensive experience representing clients in complex disputes. That year, he was named to Law Dragon's 2018 list of 500 leading lawyers in America, Benchmark Litigation's Under 40 Hot list, and the New York Super Lawyers list. He led the defense in a forgery case publication Art News called the Art Trial of the Century, vaulting his stature as one of the premier attorneys worldwide. Nikas is also a co-chair of his firm's art litigation and disputes practice, also described as one of the most globally prominent and successful art litigation practices. The Harvard Law School graduate has recovered works of art by Andy Warhol and Pablo Picasso. So this guy is an art fanatic and expert. And yeah, he looks very young. In trial, his head, I don't know what's going on. I guess he's decided to shave his head bald or something, but he has no hair. Uh, right now, I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, so the other attorney is also incredibly impressive. Let me tell you about him. His name is Alex Spiro. Okay. And he's a partner at Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, and they are partners at the same law firm. Okay. Nikas and Spiro. Spiro has in recent years become one of the most recent trial lawyers in the country. I'm sorry, one of the best known trial lawyers in the country, a feat attributable to a streak of victories in high-profile cases and to frequent appearances in popular media outlets ranging from the Washington Post and the New York Post to the Shade Room and TMZ. A graduate of Tufts University and Harvard Law School. So both of these guys went to Harvard Law School. That is the top law school in our nation and probably the world, y'all. Okay. He possesses a plain-spoken charm that clients and juries find beguiling. With that common touch, he's come to specialize in protecting the rich and famous from consequences of their poorest decisions. Spiro represented Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, who was accused of solicitation at the Orchids of Asia massage parlor in Jupiter, Florida. Charges were dropped. He defended the 22-year-old son of the industrialist Peter Brandt and the supermodel Stephanie Seymour when the young man, inebriated at JFK Airport, punched a Port Authority police officer. Charges dismissed after community service. He came to the aid of Alec Baldwin after the blah, blah, blah. He has represented Jay-Z in multiple disputes and Megan Thee Stallion after Tony Lanz shot her at a party. He also does the kind of pro bono work that makes headlines, assisting Kim Kardashian in her campaign against wrongful convictions. He also, and most recently, he's been connected and hired by Elon Musk. So that tells you where this guy is coming from. These are young guys. They made it to the top top of their game in the legal community. So not only did they make it into Harvard Law School, which is a feat in and of itself, they graduated from Harvard Law School, and now they are also making waves. And you better believe that they're going to fight tooth and nail to get a not guilty plea. Okay. I still don't think they're going to get it. Or not guilty verdict. I still don't think they're going to get it. But they did get a major thing off the table yesterday with the them not being able to say, hey, he's a producer or whatever. So now let's talk about Carrie Morrissey. She was the prosecutor on the lead prosecutor on the last on Hannah Gutierrez, and is also the prosecutor on this case. And she's practiced law in the state for more than 20 years, and she took over the case in 2023. And she's the one that presided over dropping the charges against Baldwin and then later refiling them, citing the additional facts in the case. And here's the judge, Mary Marlowe Summer. She was appointed to the First Judicial District in court in 2010 by then New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. And prior to becoming a judge, she served as a court clerk, defense attorney, and hearing officer. She presided over the high interest trial of Hannah Gutierrez. So those are that's some background on, hey, Teacup, good to see you. Hey, Trisha, good to see you. Good to see you all. So there's some background on, the lawyers, the personalities, all of these people. The stakes are as high as they can get for all of these people. But of course, especially for Alec Baldwin, who's on trial. Now, you tell me, when I met Alec Baldwin and interacted with Alec Baldwin, was he a dick or not a dick? And while you're thinking about that, let me show you some things. So here is Alec Baldwin on video addressing paparazzi after everything happened. I don't know for sure if he had been charged yet. Excuse me, I'm loving these answers. Dick forever. I'm certain he's a dick. He's been around too long not to be a dick. You know what I've noticed, Terry Bass, and I've been around and watched a lot of high profile people for a long time. Sometimes they start out as dicks and then they stop being dicks because they realize that they're being dicks. I'll give you an example. I worked with and for Steve Jobs for 6 years. By the time I stopped working with him, and by the time he died, he was much less of a dick than when I worked with him. Okay. Sometimes people get old, and I know, Steve Jobs is not an actor, but he's a very high profile person. The, founder of Apple, the guy who created all those fantastic devices we like to use, right? He was well known as a dick. He was exactly, Terry Bass. Exactly. So, I think that there are, like, I'll give you a different example. I think that people go through phases of being a dick. Some people are always just dicks. They're always going to be a dick. They're just a dick. Some people go through phases. So I met Justin Bieber when he was 14 years old, and he was the furthest thing from a dick. He was a sweet, innocent, just finding his fame kid, right? From what I saw, eventually he kind of turned into a dick, and now he's evolving past that dick mentality that made him look like a dick. See what I'm saying? And I think a lot of celebrities go through that. A lot of celebrities go through that in the course of their fame, especially when they've been famous for a super long time. Smiling Sooth says, while attending college in New York City, my son often ran into Alec Baldwin walking his dog. He was very friendly to my son and his friends, stopping and letting them pet his dog. See, so this is what I'm going to tell you my impression of Alec Baldwin after having just a very brief interaction with him. But I'm going to tell you as I show you this video of him. Okay.
Here's what happens.
Let's go.
I will.
What do you want to know?
All right, Ali, what's the current state of what's going on with the case?
I'm not allowed to make any comments because it's an ongoing investigation. I've been ordered by the sheriff's department in Santa Fe. I can't answer any questions about the investigation. I can't. It's an active investigation.
So you can see right here. So Alec Baldwin, in my estimation, is a very, very phony, angry, arrogant guy who wants to be liked. So it does not surprise me at all that he was friendly on the street with, a person wanting to pet his dog. He wants to be liked. He's not going to be a dick to every single person that he comes across. When he came into the room that I was in for his stuff, he was friendly but dismissive, extremely phony. Yeah, I think that's great, and I'm really glad he did that, Smiling Sleuth, because I also think, what you're going to see here in a moment is that his wife attempts to come up to him to talk to him, and he doesn't physically push her off, but he's extremely rude and dismissive to her. There's a much different way of handling what his wife is doing. So watch this.
In terms of a woman died. She was my friend. She was my friend. The day I arrived in San
and there he's like, she was my friend. She was my friend. She was my friend. He's like, the hidden message there is, you guys aren't understanding the toll that this is taking on me. I didn't mean to do this. Yes, we know you didn't mean to do this, Mr. Baldwin. So it probably isn't the best idea to jump out of the car and talk to the paparazzi and try to get them to like you. We know you didn't mean to do this. I'm going to play the voicemail. I'm going to play the voicemail because we're going to leave this on, kind of a funny note, because I didn't know until, and I'm talking about the voicemail he left his daughter. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting, the voicemail he left his 12-year-old daughter. But then I didn't know this, but his daughter then 10 years later or something like that roasted him. There was an Alec Baldwin roast, and she roasted him, and that entire roast was extremely telling of the kind of person that he is. So I think that he's just a really, really hyped up, anxious, arrogant guy who really thinks he's better than everybody else, but doesn't want to project that he thinks that he's better than everybody else. Okay. So, Patricia Byrne enters the room with one of her relevant limericks. There once was a man we'll call Russ. Made a film where real guns were a must. Made it cheap and in haste. A woman's life he did waste, but he doesn't seem bothered or fussed. You're so good, Patricia. I'd take slight issue. I think he does seem bothered or fussed, but he's bothered and fussed about what is happening to him more than what happened to her and Joel Sousa. But you're awesome, Patricia Burns. All right, let's keep watching this and watch what he does as his wife just comes up to him to talk to him.
I took her to dinner with Joel, the director. We were a very, very,
Whoa.
well-oiled, we were a very, very...
I mean, Jesus Christ. See, that's the real him right there. That could have been handled if he was really in the mode of, hey guys, I just want to be helpful and talk to you. Hey guys, I just want to tell you what's going on. He's, this was horrible. This is horrible. He's clearly in such a defensive posture that he would talk to his wife like that on camera.
We were a very, very,
I mean, he even like literally puts his hand. I heard about that, Rachel Lee. I don't know. I think I heard about that. I don't know. But this tells the kind of a guy he is. This tells me the kind of a guy he is. And this is the energy that he gave off when he came in the room. He's like, his energy coming into the room that I was in was like, hey, I'm here, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to be nice to you, nice to you, nice to you. Ooh, don't get into my space. I'm going to be nice to you, nice to you, nice to you. Ooh, don't get into my space. And I heard about that, Rachel Lee. That's kind of funny. So there's that, okay? And here's another of him being confronted in a wait, hold on a moment. I hate these shorts. They're so hard to operate. Damn it. Hold on. This is a short. Watch this.
Why did you kill that lady? You think that lady got no jail time? No jail time, Alec? No jail time, Alec. You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin. Free Palestine, Alec, just one time, and I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, I swear. Just say Free Palestine one time. One time. One time. One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a criminal. Come on, Alec. Just say Free Palestine one time. One time. Just one time. Please. And I'll leave you alone. Free Palestine. Israel. Zionism. Please say it. One time.
He slaps the phone out of her hand. He slaps the phone out of her hand. So that's how he is. He's going to sit there and pretend that he's not bothered, but he's really bothered. Yeah, I mean, she's unlikable too. I'd be pissed too. But all he had to do was walk away. You know, he's been faced with this kind of paparazzi harassment for 40 years since he's been famous. And that's why people don't like him, because he does shit like that. Unfortunately, people in the public eye, unfortunately, it's not fair. They have to put up with this shit. He doesn't get to just slap her phone out of her hand because she's exercising her free speech rights. It's fucking, annoying, but yeah, she gets to do that. I've always wondered that, Teacup, why she goes by Hilaria. Is that really her name? She decided to call it Hilaria because now I have not watched actually, Music City Mom. I know that seems like a logical thing to do. Oh, well, just find another occupation. But a lot of times these people don't have another skill. It's the only thing they can do and is be in a line of work that makes them famous. And unfortunately, sometimes they can't handle the fame. So they need to learn if they're not going to change their occupation. If they're not going to change that occupation, they need to learn how to handle the fame. That's the issue, right? Yeah, I don't like that either. She was definitely trying to provoke him, but he knows better than to allow himself to be provoked as a public figure, right? Now, here's another one where this isn't as bad, but he just basically tells everybody to shut the fuck up.
He's no one.
Adapting of it. I mean, everybody has an image that's burned into your mind of somebody sees.
No, he has to support us.
Guys and children.
You've already got your mind made up. You've already questioned you that, right?
Oh, I'm asking you a question.
I'm in Hollywood.
Is that your answer? Is that your answer?
You ask stupid questions.
Do you condemn?
Ask me a smart question.
Do you condemn Israel? Do you condemn Israel?
See, now he has every right. He has every right to get angry, right? But he has to understand that he's a public figure. And this is all going to be recorded, and it's going to come back, and it shows you the kind of character he has. It shows you just the kind of character he has. Now we're going to get into the thing that people are going to one other incident that we aren't talking about is he did before we get into this one. He got thrown off a plane for not shutting down his phone while he wouldn't shut down his phone while he was playing Words with Friends. He was playing Words with Friends on the phone. He wouldn't shut down. So this guy is clearly a very angry, contemptuous guy, but he wants to be liked. So he puts on this like fake phony persona, when he's trying to convince us of whatever he's trying to convince us of, right? So this is the thing that I think before the Rust movie shooting, yes, Teresa, entitled, absolutely. Before the Rust movie shooting, this is what he was most infamous for, other than his acting.
Hey, I want to tell you something. Okay? And I want to leave a message for you right now, because again.
By the way, this was many years ago, and this was to his then 12-year-old daughter with Kim Basinger. Kim Basinger was the mother, and they were going through a very contentious divorce at the time of this voicemail. So you can only imagine what was going on in those households. What that girl was going through as a result of, them going through this incredibly public and ugly battle.
It's 10:30 here in New York on a Wednesday, and once again, I made an ass of myself trying to get to a phone to call you at a specific time. When the time comes for me to make the phone call, I stop whatever I'm doing, and I go when I make that phone call at 11 o'clock in the morning in New York, and if you don't pick up the phone, at 10 o'clock at night, and you don't even have that goddamn phone turned on. I want you to know something, okay? I'm tired of playing this game with you. I'm leaving this message with you to tell you, you have insulted me for the last time. You have insulted me. You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old, or that you're a child, or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the ass who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned. You have humiliated me for the last time with this phone. And when I come out there next week, I'm going to fly out there for the day just to straighten you out on this issue. I'm going to let you know just how disappointed in you I am and how angry I am with you that you've done this to me again. You've made me feel like shit, and you've made me feel like a fool over and over and over again.
You hear him taking all his anger from out on his daughter, all the anger he has toward Kim Basinger out on this poor girl.
And this crap you pull on me with this goddamn phone situation that you would never dream of doing to your mother, and you do it to me constantly and over again.
See how he compared? You would never dream of doing this to your mother, but you do it to me over and over and over. Yep, 5-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. Absolutely. You do it to me, but you don't do it to your mother.
I'm going to get on a plane, and I'm going to come out there for the day, and I'm going to straighten your ass out when I see you. Do you understand me? I'm going to really make sure you get it. Wow. Then we got a plane. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to come home. So you better be ready Friday, the 20th, to meet with me. So I'm going to let you know just how I feel about what a rude little pig you really are. You are
a rotten little pig.
rude, thoughtless little pig.
He calls his daughter, a 12-year-old daughter, a little pig after telling her that the next time she should be scared the next time. And this is all over not answering a fucking phone. Okay?
Okay?
To replay this message.
All right. So, but I was very, very pleased.
Hi, Dad.
To see that she was able to get her her payback on him with this roast. But this roast also is very telling about him as a person and their relationship. So you'll see she takes, obviously these roasts are written by, the Comedy Central writers and stuff. So she didn't write this, but she delivers it beautifully. I mean, she delivers it beautifully, right? And, you could see that this is him sitting there being like, see, this is so beyond us. We're so healed now. I can take this roasting because I deserve it. And I'm such a nice guy that I understand why I'm getting this roasting, whatever. But listen to this. She's delivering it so well. I didn't know he was in Mission Impossible movies. He was? You see, these roasts, one of the things that makes comedy funny is that there's an element of truth in it, right? So listen to all these lines that are coming out of her mouth that are swirling that were written by other writers about Alec Baldwin. And she's delivering them with, in full chest, in full throat, and he's laughing at them because it's all fucking true. It's all true. And this tells the type of a person that he is.
And Glengarry Glen Ross was great. At least you taught someone their ABCs, right?
And then he tries to do the covert flipping off, putting it up to his head and scratching his head. Me and my ex-husband used to do that to each other all the time. But she just basically runs through all of his public controversies, and it shows the kind of person he is. That he can't behave himself in public. And when you're, a careless person who thinks you're above everybody else, it's very possible for you to negligently mishandle a gun and fire it and then lie about it to the point of having to go to trial. She's running through all of the public controversies that this guy has had over the years. And I'm going to show you one last thing. And this is video of what was going on the set before the shooting happened. Okay. Before the death of Helena Hutchins. And this was how Alec and the rest of the crew were behaving on set. So you put all of his past behavior on, in your mind, how the way he treats, his wife just walking up to him and him just like saying, "Excuse me." And, he's always trying to put on this nice guy persona, but then the real guy comes out, and you see that You see that here, right here.
No, just
Yeah? When you drop your arm, that means he's 10 feet away. I can't see how close he is, but I want to be almost up by the time he gets here.
No, I'm gonna go into this.
yeah.
Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up.
Right.
Then when he drops his arm, Helena get out, he drops his arm, that means Brady's close. I'm going to start to really get up.
Okay.
And that's where you see he's in charge, right? You see he's almost like directing the film. And that's why I find it kind of, surprising that his role as a boss in the production company isn't going to come into play. Yeah, he was using it as a pointer. He's using the gun as a pointer, waving it around. Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. They were insisting on using a real gun for authenticity or something like that. I don't know, but as Patricia alluded to in her limerick earlier, they were also being cheap in this production and doing everything very hastily.
One more. I forgot to recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload. Here we go.
So Helena,
Cut. Go! 3, 2, 1. There you go.
So that's what's at stake here, is basically, did he use negligence? Did he exhibit negligence to the degree that he pulled out a gun, the gun fired, and it went off because it had live rounds on it, put into the gun by this young lady here, Hannah Gutierrez. So let me do a real quick check right now as we're sitting here to see if there's any news on whether there's been a jury seated. And it doesn't look like it. I don't see any updates. It looks like they're still working on it. And it's only an hour ahead of me there, which means it's 3:17 p.m. their time. So I will be watching closely to see if they have selected a jury. And if they do start with their opening statements tomorrow, I will be here starting opening statements with them. If they start the next day or the next day or the next day after that, I'll start when they start. But in the meantime, those are the personalities. That's what's at stake. We have a 2-tiered justice system, and Alec is on that upper tier because he has the money. And, don't you worry about him, because even if he does get a guilty verdict in this case, I'm going to be honest with you. If he gets a guilty verdict, he will probably get some, light sentence, and they will probably make him a martyr after this. And he'll still have a career. It probably won't be as good as it used to be. It'll take some sort of turn, but it'll take some. It'll change, but it won't be over for him. He's too famous. He's done too much. Hollywood, even if they don't really like him as a person, they like the money that he brings in, right? So yeah, I know, Music City Mom. I'm just gonna say over here on this channel, the reason I don't focus as much and cover tragedy pimps on my other channel anymore is because I always do a little bit of a my own inventory. And, on, what's working, what's not. And I've noticed that all the tragedy pimps I've ever called out on my channel, they've just gotten much, much, much bigger audiences. And they're doing great. And I'm not trying to suggest that they shouldn't be doing great or they shouldn't be, but the tragedy pimps that I call out, when I call them out, it's because I believe they're harming victims, or they're displaying over and over and over and over again with their patterns of behavior that they don't care about the victims, or they are actively harming the cases that they're covering. But the algorithm loves it. The algorithm is set up to reward them. And when I send yet another signal their way, I just deliver more of an audience to them. I'm just contributing to it. So the other thing I've noticed is that there's a lot of other channels calling out tragedy pimps now. There's many more that have bigger audiences than I'll ever get because I'm most likely shadow banned. And Patricia, he made I think if he was going to do something super drastic, he might have done it by now. I think he's probably going to just really try to get through the legal system. He'll probably, if he gets guilty, he'll file an appeal, just like Hannah Gutierrez is. But he has 8 children with Hilaria, or Hillary, or Hilaria, whatever her name is. I would hope that before doing anything super drastic, he would think of them. He would think of them first. I would hope. But it's hard to tell because people who are that high up in celebrity status, they do get into this world in their mind where they think that everything revolves around them, and that if something horrible happens to them, oh my gosh, all these people, life would be better without me here, and blah, 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 blah. They just think they have an overinflated sense of importance about themselves. So I just think that he would think of his babies before he would do anything drastic. But getting back to tragedy pimps and my other channel, so I changed my other channel name to Checkmate, just to simplify it a little bit. I changed the look a little bit, and I want to do just more calling out of just I'm not saying I'll never call out tragedy pimps again. I just I want to be more selective about that, and I want to. It's very tempting and it's very addictive to keep watching all that drama content, but there's so much more going on in the world. And lately I've been covering this straight way truth ministries. They're insane, you guys. They're as bad as Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and they're active right now. And a kid was just beat up and declared missing, but then found, but they had to storm, quote unquote, storm the compound to find him. And that could have been an incredibly dangerous situation. But this, what I will call a cult, is operating in several states. And they're on YouTube. They're on YouTube recruiting people and spreading their incredibly toxic, dangerous, very erosive message, and actually defending child abuse. Stacey, go to my other channel and watch this stuff. And I'm planning to go live soon with another update where there was a phone call recorded by the brother-in-law of Daniel Muir. So Daniel Muir is the father of the kid that went missing for a couple of weeks. And yes, Teresa. So there was a recorded phone call, and we don't get to hear the recording, but we find out apparently in the arrest affidavits that that Daniel Muir said that the reason that he beat the shit out of his son because he caught his son touching girls in an inappropriate way. And that he said, quote unquote, if we were in the old country or in the home country, his son would have been killed for that. That is that's a huge red flag. He's basically saying, if we weren't in the United States, I could have gotten away I could have gotten away with killing my kid, my 14-year-old kid, for touching a girl. No, sir. You don't get to take. And so what his community now is going online and backing up that message. It's very similar to Ruby Frankie. This cult basically has new members turn all of their worldly possessions over to the leader, and then they pool those possessions into properties that everybody lives on, and then the people that live on the properties get like a $50 to $100 allowance per month. My other channel is called Checkmate or Checkmate Humanity. The tag, you can find it either way, but for sure like this. I'm typing it in, Smiling Sleuth. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing more updates on that situation. It's very Scientology-like. If you follow cults and cult-like behavior, you very much recognize that they are a cult, and they're active right now, and they're actively defending just outright diabolical child abuse. And they're basically saying, hey, our laws are above the laws of the land. And Rachel, I'm not sure what country he's referring to. They consider themselves Israelites. They consider themselves Hebrew Israelites. They definitely don't come from Israel. And I don't think that they condone killing people in Israel for touching girls, but I don't know. I think he was just using that as like a turn of phrase, in the old country. He's basically saying that by the rules of Yah, which is their God, okay? They could have been, it would have been okay for him to kill his son rather than just beating the shit out of him. Right, Patricia, living in a compound because they fully intend to break the law. They gave an entire stream, like a tutorial on how to stay out of government contracts so that you can so that you can avert the law, so that you can so you can break laws. They openly say that the laws of Yah are above the laws of the land. They only follow the laws of Yah. And to them, the laws of Yah say, I get to beat the shit out of my kid rather than using, some other form of discipline when I catch him doing a naughty thing. Okay. And this is actively happening right now. Now, I imagine that there are thousands of cults operating like this right now in the United States. It's just that this one is openly operating on YouTube. It's very similar to extreme LDS. It is. FLDS is what that would be, fundamental LDS. It's very similar. Spunky coming in with the Alec has always been a dick. Yep. But this particular cult is operating in plain sight, and they're basically saying, don't live by the laws of the land, don't be of the world, but they're using the tools of the world to recruit new members and to propagandize about their cult to get new members. So, make that make sense, right? Anyway, so that's what I've been looking at on my other channel. Another thing I've been looking at on my other, I'm planning to go over, I think, on my other channel, is there's been a whole new trove of documents dropped in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And I think the information is illuminating. Like, it helps us to see finally all the crap that was going on, how the recruiting happened, all of that. Yep, that's right. And I think, Patricia, you're right. And I think that's why they call it Straightway Truth Ministries. Straightway. I'm pretty sure that's why they called it that. So anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. It's good to see you all again. Keep an eye out for my scheduled streams for when the trial starts. And I look forward to seeing you in the live streams for the trial. And do remember that sometimes you're going to have to proactively look for my channel, because the algorithm, because YouTube doesn't like that I talk poopy about them, so they don't like to promote my channel. And I'm going to keep talking poopy about YouTube. That's never going to stop. So it's just the price I got to pay. All right. So, all right, y'all, good to see you. And I'm glad you stumbled upon me as well, Terry Bass. I will see you very, very soon. Thanks for being here, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.